Welcome to my garden. You are watching Casual Gardening and Cooking. In today's video I just want to take you on a tour around my small vegetable garden so you can see what I'm growing and how everything is actually going. This season is the first season I'm actually using a greenhouse, so I'm super curious what type of harvest I'll get from my tomatoes this year. And as I'm recording this, it's the end of June, so you'll be able to compare and see what's currently happening in my garden. To utilize this space around my greenhouse, I actually do have some large pots. In the first one, I do have butternut squash, 3 plants in total. Now, as you know, those type of plants do like to eat, so I have to make sure they've got enough water, but also enough ingredients. Next to them, I've got some rhubarb. It's the first season for it, the first time I've actually planted it, so probably the first harvest will be next year. And finally, I've got some red onions here. As you can see, the leaves are falling down now, so we're about a few days away from the harvest. Some of them are really nice and big, others are more or less medium size. Next to the entrance to my greenhouse where the tomatoes are, I do have a large pot with borage. It's an absolutely fantastic plant to have anywhere near your tomatoes, as they will encourage all the bees to come around, as the flowers they produce are absolutely perfect for them. So I always make sure I do have a large pot with borage somewhere near my tomatoes. And on the opposite side, I do have a bit of chive. We absolutely love it to put it with our sandwiches or with scrambled eggs, so it's always with us somewhere in the garden. Now let's head into my greenhouse full of tomatoes, but also I do have a bit of basil in the middle over here. In total I've got about 5 plants of basil around my greenhouse, and the rest of them, I think in total I've got 32 or 33 plants of different types of tomatoes. And as you can see, they're growing absolutely lovely. I will have a future video on how to look after your tomato plants, making sure your harvest will be as best as possible and your plants will be nice and healthy. I also encourage you to check out my other video about planting tomatoes, as to be fair, I was a little bit late to the party this season and they have been a little bit stretched out, more than I would like them to be. So yeah, I'm going to leave a link to my video on how I was planting them, so you can check it for yourself and you can compare how they look now, as you wouldn't be able to tell that they were stretched out or there was anything wrong with them. They're absolutely growing beautifully, and that's thanks to a couple of things I've mentioned in the other videos, and also how I prepared the soil in my raised beds. And I do have a separate video on that as well, so I'm going to link everything down below in the description of this video. I do have 4 plants of aubergine, however I think I probably will have to remove 1 or 2 of them, as it is getting a little bit too congested over here. And next to them I do have 2 plants of watermelons. Now I'm going to try to grow them upwards, so hopefully they will not get in the way. And right next to them I've got 6 plants of peppers. Yellow peppers. We absolutely love peppers in our kitchen, and having them in the greenhouse, it's a first for me as well. Usually I do have them outside in my raised beds. And on the side of my greenhouse I do have few more large pots. And in the pots over here I've got some lovage growing within some weeds I need to sort out. Now I use this herb to make soups, okay? I use it to more or less every single type of soup. I just love the aroma of lovage and the smell of it. It's absolutely fantastic and adds that bit of a special touch to any soups. Next to that I've got a pot with 2 peppers and aubergine. Now aubergine should actually be growing only in greenhouses, however I've got it outside and in a pot and with peppers, so it's a bit of an experiment to see if I'm gonna have any harvest from this plant at all. Next, I've got a few plants of rhubarb in this large pot. That's the first season for them as well, so there won't be any harvest this season. And just over here, I do have 3 plants of butternut squash. Now, hopefully I will have some sort of a harvest from them. And if you do decide to have plants like this growing in pots, especially where there's more than one of them, it's crucial to have enough water in the pot and enough nutrition. And again, I'm growing some more onions in this large pot. Next to my greenhouse, I do have some fruits growing. So over here I do have some red currant. Absolutely love this, especially in some juices. Beautiful. I've got some black currant. Again, I do actually like some juices, but jams as well. Absolutely gorgeous. And I can see from these 2 plants, I'm gonna have a massive harvest of black currant this season. Next, I've got 3 plants of blueberries, young blueberries, so I'm not expecting a massive harvest, but I can see there's some fruits growing on them already this season. Next to them, I've got some blackberries, and finally some raspberries. These are absolutely gorgeous, super sweet. Is the yellow version of them, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Now the first raised bed over here, it's taken over by some strawberries. More or less the season is finished now. I do have an odd one here and there, but we actually had quite a solid harvest this season and they were ever so sweet. But now I need to clean this out a little bit and make sure it's not such a mess as it is right now. Next, I've got some dill growing over here, and to be fair, most of the times we use it with cooked potatoes or to soups or sauces. However, we also use it with cucumbers, and I'm going to show you how to do Polish version of fantastic pickles later on, and dill is one of the ingredients that we're gonna need. Next to them we've got some Brussels sprouts, and I have to say I'm quite disappointed. I've actually sowed them straight into the soil, so probably I shouldn't be disappointed, but they didn't grow as I wanted them to be. I probably was sowing them 3 or 4 times and they were not coming up. I do have this clear patch over here that nothing came out, and eventually I actually found out why. This season I was really affected by ants, and I tell you what, there's a lot of bees flying around here. Yeah, ants were stealing my seeds, and I've actually caught them red-handed as I was sowing some cabbage in my other raised bed. I've seen them taking my seeds, which is, I've not had that before. So ants in my garden, a bit of a problem, to be absolutely honest with you. So yeah, the harvest over here probably not going to be too great. And as you can see here with the dill, apart from some weeds growing as well, but I had the same issue with the dill. I've got some patchy lines over here. Over here it's not too bad, as I was sowing the dill I think 3 times as well. But yeah, in the end I just gave up, and what I've got, that's it. But yeah, ants, who would have known? And over here we do have my cucumbers. In total I've got 3 different varieties that will become pickle cucumbers, and I do have some salad cucumbers as well. I've got this lovely trellis, so I'm hoping they will grow nicely upwards and save me a bit of space on the raised bed itself, and still should cover enough ground to produce a nice and healthy harvest. After that I've got 3 plants of tomatoes. Now I didn't have the heart to actually remove them and chuck them in the bin, as that's what was left over from the ones I had, so I just planted them in my raised bed. And I saw some carrots over here, and as you can see I only got a tiny little patch of carrots came out. Again, this raised bed is mostly affected by those nasty ants. That's my cabbage over here. I've put some salad, and as you can see it's really not happening too well over here for me because of those ants. Next I do have some Beetroot is not too bad. I only got one small patch that they didn't come out, or well, they've been stolen by ants. And then radishes, look at that. I've got just a little bit of radishes over there, nothing at all. And another one here. That's what ants can do. And over here I've got some kale, I've got some arugula, a bit more kale, and the salads that I was sowing about 3 or 4 times because the ants were just taking away and eating my seeds. In this raised bed we had some salad over there at the front, but that's now finished and I need to sow, probably I'm gonna actually sow some radishes at the front. Then I've got a row of hot peppers, then I've got some sweet peppers over here, then I've got 3 rows of purple beans growing over here. They're not going to be too tall, about 60 centimeters, so they don't actually need anything, any support or anything like that. They will be fine on their own. However, over there, as you can see, I've got a trellis for my tick beans, and obviously they like to climb, so a trellis for them is absolutely perfect. And over here I've got some broad beans, but they're more or less finished. We had all the broad beans of them, so it's time to actually remove them and sow something else. However, I'm actually going to save that bit for another video, as there is an interesting aspect to broad beans and what you actually should be sowing after broad beans. In this little jungle I've got some leaf beet at the front, I've got some kohlrabi growing over here, and next to that I've got some white massive radish, and at the end I do have a nice row of carrots. Hopefully they will be good for harvest very soon. Yeah, I can see them growing absolutely lovely here. At the back fence we actually have some grapes growing, and it looks like, well, first time we're gonna have some really nice harvest. Hopefully they will be nice and sweet. Look at that radish, okay? It's absolutely massive. Can't believe how lovely they are growing, and this season they're super nice and healthy as well. There's nothing eating them away. Absolutely gorgeous. I love them in salads or even on a sandwich itself. Absolutely fantastic. However, let's talk about this raised bed. I've got 2 rows of carrots growing there. I've got 2 rows of green peppers growing over here, and I've got 4 plants of aubergine, again growing outside, so not sure how they're going to come out, if we're going to have any harvest from them at all. And on the other side I've got a freshly sown row of kohlrabi as well, and at the end of my raised bed I've got some beautiful leeks growing. They're a little bit tight over there, however that will ensure that I've got a constant supply of leeks. Okay, I don't have to wait for them to mature fully. I can just utilize them as they grow, as they get a little bit bigger. Even the smaller ones will be absolutely fine in a soup, on a salad. Absolutely perfect. And in the last raised bed we had some radishes there at the back. However, now I'm just gonna put some summer salads growing over there, hopefully tomorrow or the day after. I've got some leaf celery, I've got some parsnips growing just over here, beautiful beetroot. I've got another row of young beetroot, and there's about 4 weeks difference as I was sowing them. Next to the beetroots I've got some celery, 2 rows, and celeriac as well. And at the front I do have some beautiful leeks growing as well. And in this part of the garden we do have a row of miniature apple trees. However, we had really bad frost in about April, and I mean it was unexpected and very bad, so I'm not expecting any harvest from any of my fruit trees this season. I think I've got about 2 or 3 apples on the miniature apple trees. On my full-size apple tree I can't even see 1 apple on it. That's pear tree, and it's being attacked by some diseases constantly, so there's no fruits on that. And further on I do have 2 plum trees, again no fruits this season at all. However, in between the trees, I do have some pumpkins growing. So this is a giant pumpkin. In total, I've got 3 plants over here going. As you can see, they are absolutely massive. Still no fruits though, still waiting for some fruits to appear. And they all are coming from this circle. Again, crucially important to make sure they've got enough water and nutrition. Later on, I've got some butternut squash growing just over here. And I do have a different variety of a butternut squash just over here, and I think we may be in luck and we may have a fruit starting just over here. And a super important thing in any garden, a bug hotel, making sure your bees got somewhere to stay. And finally, I've got one more circle here. That's with yellow zucchini. I absolutely love zucchini, and this yellow variety, it's absolutely gorgeous, and we always had plenty of fruits from it. And next to the zucchini, I've got some red onions going, and these are absolutely massive. Look at that, beautiful onions. And again, they're more or less ready to harvest and dry out a little bit, and I will be covering that in a separate video. And on the fence over here, I've got 3 miniature fruit trees. So that's supposed to be a pear. No fruits as yet. And these 2 are cherries. But again, no fruits on them yet. So there you go, guys. That's my quick tour around my small vegetable garden. Now, if you've got any questions about anything specific with regards to my garden, then hey, you know where the comment section is. And I do encourage you to check out my other videos, especially about preparing the greenhouse. If you still don't have a greenhouse or thinking of getting one for next season, for example, with the tomatoes and how to fill those raised beds, I think they were some good videos on my channel to check out. But for today, that's all. Thank you so much for watching, and hey, do me a massive favor, please subscribe to my channel and let your friends and family know about this channel as well, so maybe they will enjoy it as well. But for today, that's all. Thank you so much. Take care.